I was actually right down the street at Fort Myer, Virginia. It's literally a hop, skip, and jump from the Pentagon, and we were practicing doing what we did every morning. We'd finish PT. Um, I was actually in Alpha Company, which back then was on a peninsular base called Fort McNair in Washington D.C. We were the only company of the of the old guard that was in D.C. proper. The rest of the honor guard and the old guard were in Fort Myer. So we went over there and we were practicing for this show called Spirit of America, which kind of highlighted the Army's mission to the public. And we back then we had a guy with an old wind up transistor radio, so he would wind it up and he would listen to it. And there, this is before the day where cell phones were super prevalent. And I think I had one. It was like the block, Nokia or whatever. But we certainly couldn't have them in formation and around. So we're sitting in this giant ceremonial hall they called C Hall, and I remember a couple guys talking about something that happened in New York, and then we had a guy run in and tell us, like, everybody get outside, and we run outside, and there's just this unreal sight before us. There, this bellowing black cloud of smoke coming from the Pentagon. And this is not, we all know what the Pentagon is, and it's the nation's symbol of military strength and prowess. But also, you may not know that it employs like 22 or 23,000 people. It's a giant complex, and like there's a mall. Like anybody who's military in the area, them and their families can go in there. There's eye doctors, there's regular doctors. So it's a place where, a lot of people come and go. So it was just this surreal sight. And yeah, so we from the get-go, it was pretty crazy day, pretty crazy morning for me.
So you find out, you go outside, you see this black smoke. What happens next?
Well, we actually loaded up on buses, and we were trying to get back into DC to our base, which Fort McNair has the United War College on it. It has like General and Admiral's Row, which house like a lot of very important people, a lot of the highest ranking members of the military. And so we were trying to get back there, and we actually got stopped by the DC police, DC Metro, on the bridge. And they were like, hey, we locked down the city. There were reports coming from everywhere. I mean, when I say it was pandemonium, it was like we had heard like, Capitol Hill got bombed, and there's so much stuff going around. We didn't know what was real, what wasn't. So when they stopped us, and these are a lot of young infantry guys that are really, really pissed off at this point. And I mean, all of us we ran the rest of the way. It's about a 1.5 2-mile run along the tidal basin of the Potomac River. So if you've ever seen the scene in like Captain America, Winter Soldier, where he's running around the tidal basin, that's the run we would always do. But we were running back to Fort McNair along there, and all the while on the right-hand side, you could see the Pentagon. And I remember everybody running, nobody talking, and it was like a full out as fast as we could run to get back and get to where we need, doing what we needed to do. So we got back, we drew weapons, and I think the first evening, it was all about securing that base, securing our site, kind of locking down the area. And then late that night, early that morning, we got the call that they wanted us to come in and do search and rescue or whatever it ended up being in the Pentagon. So we carted up and went over there.
How long did you do search and rescue for? Because I'm sure, like, I can imagine how everything unfolding, it was probably felt like an endless night for you guys.
Yeah, so there's several things that you can do in the Old Guard. The Old Guard's known for several different things. They have the silent drill team. They have the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is a big one. Um, Casket teams, which I was a part of, a full honor casket team in Arlington National Cemetery. And then one of the other things that you can kind of do is everybody who gets their security clearance, and it's a special one that allows you to work around the president. You go into the presidential and congressional escort. And because of a lot of us in the Old Guard had this tab, the security clearance tab, they wanted us to go into the Pentagon in place of firefighters because there was so much sensitive material just everywhere. So we got there early that next morning and started going in, and it was clear. I'll never forget. We got these these white biohazard suits and the little 3M gas masks, and it was clear as soon as you walked in the building that we weren't there for any kind of rescue. Whoever was lucky enough not to be in the direct carnage was already out of there. Everything else, I always tell people, it looks like a bomb went off in a junkyard. It was just complete chaos. Office equipment and stuff just completely melted and strewn together, and it was a crazy sight for sure.
The biosuit. I'm curious about what the biosuit and the breathing material, because I've heard that a lot of you guys have had a lot of breathing issues. So even with that, was it still hard to breathe?
Yeah. So when we first got in there, actually, an example, we walked in, and I think I was among the first groups to go in. And immediately there was like a bullhorn that sounded, and we had to come back out. And so they had these inside the Pentagon, they have these giant stone. I don't even know how big. They're at least 6x6, probably much bigger, but just these stone pillars that hold up, hold up the building. And some of these were just shredded along where the plane had gone through. And you could literally see an outline. It was crazy. So they were scared of the floors falling in. So what we had to do was we had to take these huge timbers, these, 4x4 timbers, and build around these things back up before we could even start doing any work. So that kind of, physical labor, obviously, it's hot in there. You're in a plastic suit already. You're sweating. And one of the things that would happen is these little 3M masks would just slip off. So a lot of the times you're breathing in all of the air, and there was fire retardant in there that, is not good for you, and some stuff. So yeah, I mean, it did get hot, and they worked when they would stay on, but they didn't stay on too well.